Show. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Back from the All-Star break, couple days off. Feels good. Do you feel refreshed?
Yeah, refreshed is one of the many terms I would use to describe how I feel right now. Refreshed, groggy, over caffeinated and underslept. Yes.
Ooh, yeah. So a little jittery, a little irritated. Are you gonna get fired? Like I feel like you're gonna get fired up. Like you might drop like a GD.
Goddamn sure.
Yeah, you know.
There's probably something like that in our future. Yeah.
Pirates and Nationals, the first game here. Francisco Liriano versus Steven Strasburg. Liriano's kind of been up and down this year. I don't necessarily mind targeting him in GPPs. On a full slate, I'm not necessarily looking against him in cash games. But I don't mind some of these prices still. I mean, I know Worth is a little bit expensive, but I don't mind him. Same thing with Rendon. I kind of think they're sneakier contrarian plays just because their prices are a little bit higher than what they should be.
Yeah, it's not bad. I think we can definitely fire off Rendon if you're comfortable with that. But overall, probably leaving this lineup alone on a slate like tonight.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's, 14 games here. The price is a little bit, obviously it's a little bit inflated more than what you would want, but I kind of don't mind it as far as being GPP moves.
Yeah, that's fair.
So as far as the Pirates go, not really looking at them against Strasburg. I mean, they were starting to kind of come around before the break there last week and a half or so, but, it's an easy fade.
Yeah, easy fade. No need to do some advanced research on that lineup, I think. I mean, if they hit, they hit, but you shouldn't be on them either way.
Yeah, I don't think so. No. So, Mets and Phillies, Bartolo Colon versus Jeremy Hellickson, and I kind of like this game on both sides. I mean, obviously you can look at Hellickson and look at some of the lefties against him. 350 WOBA this year, 1.67 home runs per 9. I don't mind like a Granderson or a Jose Reyes. Obviously Neil Walker's a little expensive, but I kind of don't mind the Mets here tonight.
Yeah, I think this is another matchup where you're sort of looking at those two in the mid 3K range, and you definitely like those matchups. So I'd definitely be firing away with those. I mean, Asdrubal Cabrera even at 2,500, that's a pretty decent deal as well.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, if you need to punt, I mean, Travis d'Arnaud, 2,100 is a guy who I'll definitely be looking at. I know he's in the bottom of the lineup, but I think if you need some salary relief for catcher, I mean, hitting over 300 before the break there, and obviously going up against Hellickson's not a bad spot for him.
For sure.
So as far as the Phillies go, I mean, I don't mind them. I don't mind Odubel Herrera. That price tag's kind of come back down a little bit, 3,500, kind of more what range we kind of expect him to be for most of the season. He was kind of creeping up in that, close to 4K range before the break.
Yeah, I'm glad that's toned itself down a little bit. I think we can definitely fire away with him in tournaments. That's a really solid matchup for him. Other than that, I mean, Cody Ash is okay at 28. That's a fine price for a guy hitting third with a lefty-righty matchup, but I'm not excited over this Phillies team tonight.
No, I'm not either. I mean, Herrera is the one you probably get the most excited about. He's been the most consistent this year. And yeah, I mean, I don't mind Cody Ash as kind of a value GPP type guy. Maikel Franco as well. I mean, I think there is some upside for pretty much those three hitters and those three hitters alone.
Right.
So Orioles and Rays here, Chris Archer versus Giovanni Gallardo. From the Orioles standpoint, Archer's pitched much better at home. I don't really think they have a ton of upside. I mean, maybe a home run or two. But at guys like Mark Trumbo, I mean, at 3.6, you got Manny Machado at 4.2. They're a little too expensive. If they're priced down a little bit, maybe I'd take more shots on them. But they're kind of same price as a lot of guys in better spots tonight. Yeah,
for sure. I think that's definitely something we're looking strong at here. Obviously, you mentioned Trumbo. The him and Chris Davis, those home runs are going to be coming in multiples, I think, against Archer. So he is going to get those strikeouts, but at the same time, I'm firing away.
So you're looking at Orioles tonight?
Yeah.
As far as the Rays go, I mean, Gallardo hasn't exactly been that strong. I mean, lefties have hit him at a decent rate so far. I like Brad Miller's price tag. Or sorry, I like Brad Miller's spot. I hate the price tag at 4K, but I mean, dude was heating up. I mean, big time power from a shortstop. I don't mind him in GPPs. Obviously, Tropicana's not the greatest place to hit, but I'll definitely have some Brad Miller shares just because how bad Gallardo's been so far this year.
Yeah, I think that's a fair call. Him and Morrison, pretty solid combination.
Yeah, definitely. And I even don't mind Corey Dickerson. He's consistently cheap, and you just kind
Yeah,
of got to hope he gets that home run. I mean, it's kind of all he's been up to. I mean, it's either home run or bust with him lately or this season.
right.
So overall, I mean, isn't really my favorite game to target. I think it's going to be relatively hit or miss as far as what guys you actually need to take here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Royals and Tigers next, and Justin Verlander versus Ian Candy. Candy's been awful on the road this year, and these Tigers prices, I mean, really aren't that bad, especially kind of those secondary pieces. So I don't mind, obviously Victor Martinez at 3.5 behind the dish. I mean, that's kind of one of the nice things you get, with FanDuel is getting Martinez behind for catchers. So Yoka Candy, I mean, has struggled more so against lefties in his time. The home run potential is definitely there. So I like Victor Martinez quite a bit. I think he's probably my favorite Tiger from this game.
Yeah, especially on the Tigers side. I mean, as you mentioned, Ian Kennedy struggles against lefties, not as much righties. Miguel Cabrera definitely in play for 37, but I think I'm more looking at Victor Martinez at that catcher spot for 35.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. And I mean, I don't mind a Maben. I don't mind a Kinsler. I mean, at those prices, they're not too bad. I think Castellanos could have some pop. I think an interesting GPP play at 3.6. I mean, Kennedy's just been bad on the road. I mean, Comerica's, a decent hitter's park. I mean, more so at this time of year than anything.
Yeah, definitely.
So as far as the Royal side of things, yeah, it's not a great matchup. I mean, Verlander has been up and down at times, but overall, I think they're just better options to target. Even though
Definitely.
the Royals are cheap.
Yeah, definitely agree. Maybe like one of the next games we're going to be talking about here.
Yeah, we'll jump right into Brewers and Reds, and
Yeah.
I'm definitely loving things here. And I like the Reds. I mean, the Red side is probably my favorite of the bunch. I mean, you look at Garza; he's been off on the last 3 starts after throwing 2 decent starts to kind of come back in 2016. And for me, I mean, it's kind of easy to roll out 1 through 5 here. I like both sides of the plate. I love the lefties. I love Adam Duvall at 3K. I mean, that's a really nice price tag for a guy with a ton of home run potential.
Yeah, they bumped these prices down a little bit for us on the red side. I really like that. And I wouldn't sleep on the Brewers either. I think just the way with Desclafani and how he gives up home runs on a pretty regular basis. I think we're definitely looking at the Chris Carter, Ryan Braun's from that Brewers lineup, even though they've been struggling of late.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't mind. I love Lucroy at 3K. That's a really nice price tag for him. Scooter Gannett, I mean, 3.5 is a little expensive, but I don't mind him. And kind of he's, him and Villar are kind of 2 lefties that I see could actually give him a lot of problems up top. And obviously in that ballpark, I mean, great home run potential, a lot of upside from both those guys, and obviously the righties you mentioned too.
Yeah, I know the Brewers are only projected for 4 runs. I don't agree with that. I feel like they can definitely go over that. So I guess I'm going against Vegas tonight with the Brewers love.
The Brewers, the brew.
Brew myself a hot chocolate.
In the middle of July.
I'm going to inject myself with some caffeine, and then maybe I won't like them as much. But as of right this moment, I do like them quite a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I like those prices, and obviously there's a lot of home run potential. And yeah, I mean, 1 through 4 is definitely in play tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Rockies and Braves here, Lucas Harrell versus Jorge De La Rosa. For me, not necessarily looking at this game in general. I mean, the Rockies could have something together, but them on the road hasn't been great. I still don't mind a Charlie Blackmon at 3.8 or Trevor Story at 3K, but I don't know if I can see myself paying 4K for Carlos Gonzalez and Arenado. It's just kind of it would be contrarian just because they are outside of Coors and Turner Field, and it's not a great hitter's park.
I could see paying up for Cargo. But yeah, Story's fine. But as you mentioned, outside of Coors, the splits really are telling. And Yeah, I'm just not necessarily buying the Rockies tonight.
No, I'm not either. I mean, Harrell's been, been able to tame some offenses. So for me, they're not quite cheap enough for me to actually consider them tonight. And I think that's the thing that kind of keeps me away. If they were cheaper, I take a little bit more of a risk with them outside of cores, but that's not the case.
For sure.
So, as far as the Braves side goes, I mean, I actually kind of like Jorge De La Rosa as a cheap GPP option. I mean, lefties against the Braves have been pretty solid. De La Rosa has been great since coming back. So, I'm not really looking at the Braves. I don't think there's a ton there. I mean, obviously, you can look at Jeff Francoeur as kind of that lefty matching option. Outside of that, it's a lot of lefty on lefty crime.
Yeah, and I mean, God, you don't even need to have a name if you're a lefty and do well against this Braves lineup, it seems. But yeah, I don't know that I'm necessarily trusting him in a big way, but in a nice little contrarian tournament way, I think you could get him under 10% and fire away with him. So I definitely am intrigued there.
Yeah, definitely, and that's obviously, I mean, strictly GPP. I mean, we know De La Rosa, so it's a good matchup. He's been playing well, so yeah, I'm not really looking at Braves here.
Right.
Indians and Twins next one here. Carlos Carrasco versus Irvin Santana. Much more looking at the Indian side of things, and I like some of these prices. Once again, that back end's intriguing. Jose Ramirez, Lonnie Chisenhall, both 3K. Definitely like them. The other bats are kind of priced up a little higher, but once again, I think there is some upside here. But I mean, Santana's been up and down, but obviously it's not. I don't think the Indians are going to have a monster night.
No, but they could have a good one. And as you mentioned, some of the value bats, Chisenhall, guys like that, even a Carlos Santana at 31, batting leadoff. I think those are some pretty interesting options. Just tough to pay up for the Lindors and Kipnis's of the world tonight.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, 4K for Lindor is a little expensive. Kipnis, I mean, Kipnis was like consistently 3K before we got to the break. Now that price has kind of jumped up. I mean, I don't mind it. I do think the prices will have them a little bit lower than what maybe they would be. So that's kind of one positive you can take away from it. But Twins, I mean, definitely not really looking at them. I think Carrasco's kind of an easy stay away.
For sure.
So Marlins and Cardinals, and I mean, two lefties on the hill, and this game's kind of intriguing. I think there's a lot of kind of home run potential here. I mean, more so from the Cardinal side, just because you look at Chen and pretty average against righties, 1.74 home runs per nine, 3.31 WOBA this year. I like some of those prices. I mean, I like a Piscotty at 3.3 or a Johnny Peralta at 2.9, and kind of depending on what Holiday does, 3.5 is not a bad price tag for him either.
Yeah, and again, I think you can look at some of the guys at the end of that lineup too, and sort of target them, the Yadier Molinas of the world. So yeah, you're definitely looking at some reduced prices there. And I mean, Chen has had his moments, but I don't think this is necessarily going to be a great outing for him against a tough and stingy Cardinals lineup.
Yeah, and he hasn't necessarily been good on the road. I mean, he's been fine at home, and the home runs per nine is up over 2 on the road this year. And obviously, Busch Stadium's not like a home run park, but I mean, Chen is still giving up plenty on the road, and I do think still in the summertime it reduces to a little bit more average, kind of power wise.
Right.
So, and as far as the Marlins go, I mean, I can still definitely see myself using the right-handers. Jaime Garcia is obviously not a perfect matchup for some of these guys, but along a 313 WOBA to righties, 1.01 home runs per nine. He's been very average at times. So I do think you could take a look at JT Realmuto and obviously a Stanton or Ozuna, who obviously a great track record of hitting lefties well.
I might dip my toe in the water with a 400-foot homer from Stanton, please. Thank you.
400? What, did he get jammed? I mean...
Yeah, I know. Unbelievable.
I mean, you watch the home run derby. I mean, his first one that he hit of the night was like, it sounded like it just hit the middle, like inside the bat, and it just went dead center over. Like, he didn't even hit it clean. Like, he's just sick. He's a freak.
Such a freak. It's just crazy how, because it's one thing to have the strength but it's like to have that quickness with that strength is like so unbelievable. So yeah, he's certainly a majestic creature, that's for sure.
What a turn of events from the way we were talking about Stanton, let's say a month and a half ago.
I said as soon as he turned it around, we were going to be the Stanton fan club, and we certainly are. And it's been a fun ride, let me tell you.
Yeah, we are fair weather.
Yes, absolutely.
Dodgers
Absolutely
and Diamondbacks next one here. Bud Norris versus Patrick Corbin. I like this game a lot. Obviously, Chase Field, great hitters park. And I like both sides. I mean, Bud Norris came off a great start in his Dodger debut. Overall, still not the biggest fan. He's been relatively tough on right-handers this year, which doesn't have me all in on the Diamondbacks. But I like some of these prices. I love Jake Lamb at 3.5. I think Lamb's going to be a guy who I have a ton of exposure to on this team.
Yeah, I love that. I even love a Michael Bourne at 31, but obviously not quite as much. But yeah, Lamb, he should definitely be over 4K tonight, and he's not. So I think that makes third base a really, really interesting option for him in cash end tournaments.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, I mean, Gene Segura's got a nice price tag. Even though Norris has been tough around the righties, I don't mind taking a shot at him at that price just because we know his upside. Goldschmidt at 4.5 is a little expensive, but obviously this isn't a matchup where you're definitely not going to shy away from. He kind of fits more in terms of a stack for me. I kind of like leaning on Ortiz, who's 500 cheaper.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Just go with Ortiz for 4K. Kind of makes your life a little easier.
Yeah, definitely. And on the Dodgers side of things, I mean, I was all ready for him when Shelby Miller was scheduled to pitch, but he's been optioned down to AAA. So we get Corbin.
Womp womp.
I still don't mind the Dodgers. Obviously, their run total is still there, and I don't mind a Howie Kendrick or Yasiel Puig at those prices. And Corbin's been awful at home. Really hasn't enjoyed Chase Field, and I definitely don't mind those guys, those right-handers. And Justin Turner may at 3.5. I definitely like Lamb more, just because Turner hits righties better than lefties.
Yeah, so that's unfortunate. But yeah, I think you take the night off from Turner when it comes down to those two. They're at the same price, and obviously Lamb's matchup's better, and just everything is pointing towards Lamb. So I'd fire away with him for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So I do think you're looking at the righties. Gonzalez not really in play anymore. I do think this Dodgers bunch is coming with a nice, definitely some round out value there at the end of the, you're plugging maybe Yasiel Puig in to kind of complete something.
For sure.
So, but overall, Corbin hasn't really been that solid. 343 WOBA, 1.43 home runs per 9 to righties this year. So definitely going to be a popular offense tonight.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be a popular offense, but I don't think you necessarily need to get a ton of exposure.
Jeez, Debbie Downer over here today.
Oh, I told you, man. I'm waiting for that coffee to kick in right now. Give me that shot, baby. Let's go.
You need like a double shot of espresso or something, man. You just, it's like,
a double shot. That'll send. I'll be on the floor. They'll have to gurney me out of here if I do a double shot of espresso.
White Sox and Angels next one here. Miguel Gonzalez.
Wait a second. Have you seen where they are trying to bring the person into the hospital on the gurney, and they just drop him, and the guy's face goes straight into the door?
No, what's
Have
this
you
from?
seen that video? Oh my God. They're just regular people they're trying to carry this guy into the hospital, and he just dumps out like a sack of potatoes, and his face smacks straight into the door. It's lovely. It makes you feel better about yourself. And
obviously that guy is like probably a step away from being dead.
Oh, that guy's definitely a millionaire now. He's going to sue that hospital till they're out of business. But anyway.
Angels and White Sox next one here. Miguel Gonzalez versus Hector Santiago, and Hector Santiago's been a guy we've generally picked on quite a bit. I mean, 3.35 WOBA, a lot to righties this year, 1.82 home runs per 9. Some of these right-handed bats are definitely intriguing. Obviously the Todd Frazier price tag is much more expensive than I was hoping. I'm not all aboard, but I'm not completely ruling it off just because Santiago's given up the long ball quite a bit this year.
Hashtag make Jose Abreu great again. Yeah. This would be a beautiful price for good Jose Abreu, but I'm just not sure it's there. So like you mentioned with Frazier, you don't like that price, but I think he's the guy you kind of fire away with if you are going to dive into the White Sox there.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't mind a Tim Anderson as well. I mean, $3K, decent price tag for him.
Yeah. For sure. And on the Angels side, I mean, pretty straightforward. Obviously, you like Cole Calhoun against righties, and obviously you like Mike Trout. But other than that, I mean, you could fire away with a Johnny Giavotella for 23. I guess that'll be my random weird call of the night where maybe he does something and then I look cool. But I guess that, like, you're looking at the end of that Angels lineup for some value, but not necessarily feeling confident enough for like cash or anything.
No, I mean, Daniel Nava at 2K is kind of intriguing just given he's hitting fifth.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be something there for value. And Nava's a worthy cash game opponent if you're just kind of, if you need to plug in an extra bat and you're kind of firing away and trying to get an Ortiz and a Bumgarner in together, something like that. So I don't necessarily mind Nava, but yeah, I think the rest of it is obviously more kind of punch EPP territory.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not the worst matchup either. So I definitely don't kind of mind those value guys. But overall, I like Calhoun's price tag, and obviously Trout's kind of always in play.
Yes.
So Blue Jays and A's next one here. Daniel Mengden, Marcus Stroman. Toronto out of their comfort zone out in Oakland there, West Coast trip. Probably didn't even head back home, honestly, for most of those guys. So
road trip.
They're expensive, man. I mean, they're expensive. I'm kind of not buying into them. I mean, maybe you want to make an effort for a Josh Donaldson return game to Oakland and fire him away on the narrative, but some of those prices I'm not necessarily in love with. And against Mengden, I mean, I guess you could say I'm just kind of writing off the Blue Jays tonight.
Narrative street, baby. Yeah, I'm not necessarily firing away with that. But I think I agree. It's just that's 9K between Donaldson and Encarnacion, and you're just not going to be able to do that with a Bumgarner. So they're definitely out in cash for me. But in terms of tournaments, that's still tough to fit into, and it's not like Vegas is projecting them for 5.5 runs, So there aren't a lot of factors that normally you're like, all right, 6 runs facing a weak arm, like at home. It's like, all right, I'll do the Blue Jays again. But this isn't necessarily that situation. So I think on a 14-gamer, you can probably get away from them.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, maybe they put up 5 or 6 runs. But, the chance that, Donaldson and Encarnacion have a 5 RBI night off, 2 doubles and a homer. Obviously that upside's always there. But I just don't think that's going to happen. And I do think you can get guys at cheaper prices for better points per dollar production tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the A's go, I don't know. It's kind of tough to pick on Stroman here. I mean, Stroman's been up and down. Hasn't been tremendously great. Lefties have kind of hit him pretty well this year. 340 WOBA, 34% hard ball rate. I don't necessarily mind a Stephen Vogt or a Josh Reddick. Those are kind of the only 2 lefties that kind of stand out. I kind of am going to stay away from Valencia and Davis, though.
Yeah, they are decent prices again. So I mean, I'm okay with a VOD at 29 or something like that, or maybe a Reddick at 31. But overall, I think you're comfortable just not touching that lineup tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. So overall, I mean, I think relatively that game is mostly just going to be a stay away of the West Coast games there.
Yeah.
Houston and Seattle, Doug Fister versus James Paxton. And for me, the way Fister's kind of struggled against lefties this year, 374 WOBA, 2.10 home runs per 9.
Hey-o.
Yeah, you kind of got to like those bats, and
right.
You got to like that Cano price tag at 3.5 and Seager at 3.2.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is what we dream about. This is the Seager Cano that I throw in most nights. This is what you actually look for in the Seager Cano.
Yeah, Cano and Seager could be priced at $4,800 a piece, and you'd still find a way to get both of them.
Or at least throw. Well, they are facing a righty. Yeah, no. This is cash for me. I think you can fit this in with Bumgarner and feel pretty comfortable with the rest. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and too, I like them quite a bit, and I even like Leonis Martin, Seth Smith kind of value up in the top of the lineup. So I'm definitely a big fan of the Mariners tonight. I definitely could see them kind of getting a fister, and definitely more so with those lefties than the righties there.
For sure. Yeah. So, I mean, 35 and 32, that's 6,700. So that's 2,300 less than the Encarnacion Donaldson combo, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, definitely. And Safeco's been relatively home run friendly at times. So, I do think there's some upside. So, for me, I'm definitely not sleeping on Seattle.
Right.
So, as far as Houston goes, I'm not exactly
why they gotta be so expensive, man?
That's the thing.
Why you gotta do that?
They have not been consistent against lefties. They've been worse more times than not against lefties. So when Cano's price, 600 less than Altuve, I know Altuve against the lefties definitely worthy of a play, and I'll definitely have a share or two of kind of the usual guys like a Springer, Altuve. Not a fan of Correa at 4K. He's been awful against lefties this year.
I like Paxton here. I think there's some strikeout upside here, and I just think the Astros are way overpriced. I don't think Paxton's going to be high owned either. So a little deeper tournament play, 7,100, not bad.
Do you prefer him over De La Rosa?
I think there's more upside there. I still think Paxton could get shelled, but at the same time, I do think there's more upside there. So yeah, I think those two are sort of in the running, leaning towards Paxton in tournaments. So
yeah, so definitely a couple lefty GPP plays to keep in mind.
Yeah.
So Padres and Giants here. Madison Bumgarner, Andrew Cashner. Bumgarner went out with just an electric start before the break, and is going to come back and face a Padres team that he's dominated twice this year. Strikeout upside there. I know the Padres have been relatively good against lefties this season, top 10 at WOBA, but they do have a high strikeout rate, and obviously Bumgarner's a different animal. So the price is, hey, if you were to price them down low at like a 2,300 or 2,400 like they've done a couple times this season, maybe I would have taken a shot at a Kemper, Will Myers for really cheap and trying to be different, but they're not cheap enough.
Sorry, Yang. No Yang Gervis tonight, guys. Gotta sit him down, tell him, listen, it's not you, but it is kind of you, and we got to work on some stuff, or you're not. I was gonna turn this into a parent-teacher conference, but it just didn't happen. I just didn't have the juice this morning. The caffeine wasn't kicking in, so we're gonna end it there by just saying no Yang Gervis tonight.
What a bad transition on Russell's part.
Oh, that was rough. There was something there. It was scrambling around, and it just didn't come out. Sometimes, just like when you're constipated, sometimes it just doesn't come out. It's in there, but it's not firing away.
We're gonna lean on the Giants offense and start talking about them right now.
Bumgarner, obvious cash. Throwing him in I think you pretty much have to throw him in cash, right?
Yeah, he's my cash game arm tonight for sure.
Yeah.
And looking at those bats there, some of them are definitely overpriced. Well, 1 through 4 are overpriced. I don't mind them as far as GPP guys. I obviously don't mind maybe 1 or 2 of them in cash if you're going that route. So I don't hate the matchup just because Cashner's struggled against both sides of the plate. I love Brandon Crawford's price at 2.9, and Pecco for lefty power has been pretty average. So I kind of like him at that price tag.
Is your biggest discrepancy Ramiro Pena at 2,200? Does that make you angry that he's overpriced like that?
No, Ramiro Pena is not on my radar, so Good point. He's $200 definitely overpriced. I mean,
Yeah, that kind of makes me angry. I don't know about you.
this is where you're going to choose to get angry is the price tag of a Ramiro Pena.
Yeah, it's
So,
pretty
I mean,
ridiculous.
do you like the Giants? Or once again, I feel like you're always kind of anti-Giant because of the price tags.
It's just Buster Posey. Like the first thing I look at in that lineup is Buster Posey, it seems, and then I just get angry, and then it's like, well, what the heck? Just I want to play him. Just let me play him.
Do it.
No, I'm not playing him at 39. You crazy?
It's a tough price tag, and obviously,
I mean, I kind of want to play him, but I can't.
I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna go with Vaught, and you know what? Vaught's treated me well. I just don't want to deal. I don't want to deal with you, Buster Posey.
They're expensive options. Him and Belt, obviously, the two best hitters on the team are expensive. So, and Pagan's even in a little bit pricier. I'm not a big fan of Span. I think Pagan's the guy I would rather take out of those two. But for me, it's still Brandon Crawford. I think best points per dollar value on the board price considered is definitely him there.
Yeah, I think, you really like that price, 2,900. So obviously a big discount on the other guys. But I mean, I do think a Belt Posey grouping is in play for tournaments, but I don't know how high upside that is.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the thing is, do they pay off those price tags and do they pay them off enough to the point where they make a true difference in GPPs? Or sure,
right.
Posey might homer, but if you got 3-4 catchers in that 28 to 3,500 range that do the same thing, not necessarily worth it.
Or even slightly worse, if they get 3 or 4 points less, it's still like, well, it still negates that 1K, and then you had something else to throw into the rest of your lineup. So, definitely into sort of avoiding that, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. You hate the Giants. So let's go wrap things up here at the FanDuel Punch Out. Be sure to check out DaveFantasyCafe.com for all great tools and content.